end up in jail for their wedding.
What was going through your mind when you looked up and saw that flag and everything else?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that, they were free climbing, which is a little scary, to make sure that they were okay. I saw the banner. I understand the message. If it is a proposal, I don't think that's a proposal I would want, but I commend them for using something personal to try to make a more global impact.
I see. You were standing around with a lot of other people. See a lot of crazy things in New York from time to time. How does this one rank?
I think this ranks probably the top 10, but we just had the Knicks win a championship.
That's right.
So a lot of craziness went on there.
Yep.
So I think right now in New York, you have to go to an extreme to try to top what's been going on the last 6 weeks or so.
An enormous amount of time and effort is spent trying to protect these spaces, trying to keep people out of them who don't belong there, trying to protect the general public from others who might stray into these spaces, certainly at these heights, and put everybody at risk. And the other thing here is both the city, and in terms of the police department, and of course, the building owners really they were in a tough spot here. They have to respond to this very directly. They are going to have to do whatever they can to see that these people are prosecuted for any appropriate charges, because they cannot take the chance that others will see this and decide to also try it. These kind of daredevils who film themselves at really very dangerous heights, oftentimes straying or trespassing into places where they're not supposed to be doing this sort of stuff. There's a whole groundswell of that. There's a whole community around that, of course, on the internet and social media and stuff. So the last thing the people who are responsible for the Empire State Building want is to turn this place into a target for that sort of activity, because ultimately it will end in some sort of tragedy. The danger here, the recklessness is obvious and can't be overstated.
There was legitimate uncertainty and fear out there with people who didn't know what this would mean for future generations, hundreds of thousands or millions of children. And now we know it's the same thing we've understood since 1868, which is if you are born here, you are a citizen, doesn't matter who your parents are.
Alex, how do the politics of this cut?
So let's be clear. There's not going to be any change, despite what Trump said, before the midterms in Congress. There's also almost certainly not going to be a change before the next presidential election. But this argument is not over politically. And that's because J.D. Vance, who is very close with Stephen Miller inside the White House, any GOP candidate is going to run on the same thing this next presidential election. And this is just the beginning of the debate. I mean, I remember back in 2008, you had Republicans running on a wall, building a wall on the southern border, and they were met with guffaws. I actually think this is the beginning of a debate over this, and even potentially a debate over constitutional amendments or legislation.
Can I just say something on that? Because I do think that J.D. Vance will run on this, and I think that is what it will be required in a Republican primary. But birthright citizenship, it polls in the upper 60s. And I think that if you were asking a voter in a battleground state, I think that they will tell you, listen, Trump delivered on closing the border. Trump delivered on making sure that he was doing everything he can to keep the bad guys out. But I don't think that they agree with, for example, overturning birthright citizenship or Congress doing something about that. And I don't think they also agree with Donald Trump sort of taking away legal status of almost 1 million people through TPS. And so I think this will be an interesting place that, whether it be J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, they're going to be playing to their base in a Republican primary. But I think what will be interesting is what happens in a general election. People signed up for taking out violent criminals. They didn't necessarily sign up for this. And that, I think, is going to be a big question politically.
Let's watch what Stephen Miller had to say in response to this. He, of course, is really a chief architect of any immigration policy. And I'm sorry, this was a tweet, not a soundbite. He wrote this, quote, "One of the most destructive and outrageous decisions in the long history of the Supreme Court. American citizenship is not the birthright of the world. It belongs only and solely to Americans. No provision of the Constitution can be read to require our national self-obliteration." Sure, Michael, what is your take on the way he frames this and the way this conversation we're having about where we go?
I don't typically agree with Stephen Miller on much, but I think he's correct here. And Ellie and I have debated this several times on air. Obviously, I respect his legal acumen, but philosophically, I fundamentally disagree with the court on this. To me, I go back to subject to the jurisdiction of, going back to the original intent of the 1866 Civil Rights Act for the 14th Amendment being passed. What was it to address? What was it to codify? It was freed slaves who did not have citizenship. It wasn't freed slaves and any and everybody else across the globe. Of the 27 EU countries, none of the civilized Western countries allow and permit unconditional immigration.
Stephen Miller understood that putting in a new caste of lawyer would be essential for them to push the envelope to be very aggressive in the way they use power. I'll give you one example. It's by no means representative of all of it. There's big and small ways this matters, but Donald Trump determined himself that fishing boats carrying cocaine traffickers were enemy combatants, essentially wartime combatants, and that he had the authority, which he decided because of this designation, that he could just blow them up. There was no trial, they're not arrested, you just blow them up. That was validated by the legal infrastructure of the Trump administration. And you only get that by putting the right people in place, from their perspective, the right people who are going to put the rubber stamp on the most aggressive formulations of power. So it's having real world consequences. And in that example, it's not like there's a backseas, you know, when you blow someone up and their body parts are scattered at the bottom of the ocean, it's not like they can appeal that decision that you made. So it's highly, highly consequential. And I don't think people have really focused their minds on that.
You recently disclosed to your House colleagues that you had this traumatic event after experiencing a miscarriage just recently, a couple of weeks ago. I'd like to play a part of what you said to them.
After several weeks of bleeding and mourning the loss of our pregnancy, my doctor made clear that future pregnancy could be much more difficult if I didn't take medication to expel the retained miscarriage. When I took the medication this past Sunday, the pain was worse than the pain I experienced during labor and delivery of my son 4 years ago. I was not even advised to take this medication when my son was out of the house. He saw and heard things that he should never have had to.
More painful than labor and delivery, I just can't even imagine. Miscarriage is so incredibly difficult. It's also incredibly common. I just wonder, first of all, how are you doing? It's only been a couple of weeks, and it sounds like a really traumatic experience.
It was rough. It was really rough. I mean, I'm fortunate that my family and my husband, like my community's been really supportive. You know, if there's one silver lining, it was that we passed this amendment to direct the NIH to study pain management improvement strategies for miscarriage. You know, I think it's something like 37% of women who've had a miscarriage rank the pain managing that miscarriage as a 7 out of 10. And they don't offer you anything more than ibuprofen for that. Like, it is the functional equivalent of offering somebody a stick to bite on. Like, we have made progress in so many areas in healthcare, and women's reproductive healthcare is the pain management is medieval for so many issues, and it's obviously uncomfortable to talk about. And sort of weighing this, I was like, well, you know what? There aren't that many members of Congress who have gone through this, and you know, it is so common. It's something like 1 in 4 women will have a miscarriage, and we can't keep making collateral damage out of miscarriage and women experiencing it.
And so you're pushing for Congress to do more on the pain management front, right?
That's right. There's we need to think critically about the pain management here. You know, there's interesting data on alternating different over-the-counter. There's, you know, many other countries offer stronger pain management, but for many women, it is really painful. And I think partly because it's often managed at home, it's sort of seen as not a area that's like easy to study and improve. But just because it happens at home doesn't mean it's not real.
₹750 में बिजनेस मैनेज हो सकता है क्या? GST, accounting, banking, reports, cloud, inventory. No CAT, just smart business, all in one. At ₹750. Smart business starts here.
LeBron just felt that the time had come for both sides to move on. My understanding is he just felt he can find his happiness in life elsewhere, out of the Lakers, and that's the decision he came to today. So it was twofold. One, it's deciding to play basketball next season. He's already played 23 NBA seasons. Next year would be an unprecedented, historic 24th year. Once again, he would be playing. It's not clear whether that would be it or he would even play a 25th season potentially, but he came to the decision that he will be playing another year. All indications led that way. And now today he makes a decision that no matter what, I'm going to be leaving the Lakers. And so why today is the day NBA free agency starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That means that as of 6 p.m. Eastern time, LeBron James is wide open, available on the open market in NBA free agency, and he will not be going back to the Lakers. And sources told me that it is a happiness-led decision for LeBron James. That's what he's going to seek at his next home. It's not going to be a money-driven decision.
How important is that he says it's not going to be a money-driven decision? Because he's not exactly going to be cheap to pick up.
Definitely very critical for teams that are interested, right? Because any team that's going to be bringing LeBron James in, you want to have a chance to build your roster. You want to have a chance to compete for a championship, because that's part of what makes LeBron James happy, is having a group of guys and a unit and a chance every year to go compete. That's what he thrives on. And there were things along the way in LA that you could see the tea leaves. They trade Anthony Davis in the middle of the night. LeBron James had no idea that was coming. That happens. And you see the shift that's taken place with this Lakers organization. They go out and trade for Luka Doncic, and they made no bones about it. Luka was the face of the Lakers franchise the moment they acquired him. And that meant LeBron James's spot as the face was being overtaken, being usurped right from under him. He had no idea that was happening. So that happens. And then even in this free agency process, right, it was Austin Reeves on the pecking order, then LeBron James, and then Rui Hachimura. Well, Austin Reeves gets taken care of last week on a max deal, $185 million. My understanding is the Lakers expressed they wanted LeBron James back, but never made an offer in free agency. And so you cobble all that together and what's taken place the last couple of years with the roster there, LeBron James feels that he can get better elsewhere.
I thought it was an incredible haul for the Clippers to get 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a couple swaps for Kawhi Leonard. The Raptors actually gave up more for Kawhi now than they did back when he was 27 years old, entering his prime. And obviously he delivered at that time with a championship. It will be interesting to see how they fill out the rest of the roster. I think they are now in that East contender mix. I wouldn't put them at the top. I still would put New York and Boston ahead of them. But yeah, it's a well-timed reunion for Kawhi. I think that Clippers situation with the aspiration scandal looming over everything, I think it was time for both sides to move on as well. So Toronto takes another shot on him, and we'll see how he delivers.
With nothing more than borrowed tools, Davis Ramos digs through the rubble. The twin mattresses of his 2 little girls are within sight, and he anchors his strength in knowing that soon he will hold them close, even if it's a final goodbye.
Ahorita no puedo pensar en el llanto, ahorita no puedo pensar, aunque se me parte el alma por dentro, pensar en llorar, porque con lágrimas no...
Fuerza, sí.
Con lágrimas no voy a mover una piedra.
While we hear a rescue team from North Carolina arrive, looking for signs of life or death.
I know that we have still been finding people alive in these buildings, so I'm not ready to give up yet.
Almost a week since those fateful back-to-back earthquakes, hope of finding survivors is fading fast. But in the midst of unimaginable grief, a moment of compassion and humanity between an American rescuer and a grieving Venezuelan father. The scene here in La Guaira is apocalyptic, with countless buildings pancaked by the ferocity of the quakes. And while families wait for answers, heavy machinery sits idle.
Señor, ¿por qué no está prendido? He doesn't have petrol, he doesn't have fuel. I mean, tell that to the families.
A sorry sight for one of the world's largest oil reserves. Hazel Mendoza has seen this firsthand. She traveled from Tampa, Florida, to search for her loved ones.
This guy, work with the nails. They try the hands. They try to do everything without nothing. They don't have, shoes. They don't have machine like drills, big drills that you need. They don't have sensors. They don't have anything.
We walk from building to building. The scale of destruction stretches for blocks. Around every corner,
didn't have a chance.
A house of horrors. Still, Venezuelans dig, with rickety tools, shovels and buckets. As we depart La Guaira, an arresting scene of casket after casket, and of overwhelming loss.
स्टार हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, मैं कोई भी रहेगा मैं उसको सबसे पहला प्रेफरेंस यही दूंगा। मैं यहाँ पे सीधा ये बोल रहा हूँ कि हर बंदे को हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस लेनी चाहिए, और अगर कोई प्रेफरेंस की बात करेगा तो मैं ये जरूर उसको कहूँगा, भैया आप फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी स्टार हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस को दो। आप हमारी लाइफ में सबसे फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी जो है वो फैमिली होनी चाहिए, ठीक है ना। तो मैं एक चीज़ बोलता हूँ कि आज की डेट में अगर आप कहते हैं ना कि आपको किसी चीज़ को प्रायोरिटाइज करना है ना, तो फैमिली आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट तब होगी जब आप उनको सेफ रखोगे, तो वो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट। और सेफ कैसे रखोगे? सेफ रखोगे इसी तरीके से। आप हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस आज की डेट में मेरे हिसाब से फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी होनी चाहिए।
It was pretty much right away. We arrived and I was standing next to the counter and just saw this person there with a Cabo Verde shirt. And so I just said, "Oh, are you from Cabo Verde?" And he said, "Yes, I'm from Praia." And I said, "Oh, there's not that many people who would ever say that." And so I said, "Oh, I lived in Praia for 2 years. I was a teacher." And he just suddenly went very still and looked at me and asked me my name. And when I told him, he said, "You were my teacher." And I think I blacked out for a second going, how is this even possible? 6,000 miles and 35 years later. But here was Yvonne, one of my students that I taught all those years ago.
It's incredible, and we're showing our viewers photos, including a photo of you standing side by side all those years ago. Yvonne, what was going through your mind when she was asking you about your experience at home?
Yeah, I was just, I also wanted to be with Cape Verdeans. There are not a lot of Cape Verdeans in the Bay Area, so I was happy people showed up. And so I was just asking Jill, how did she connect with Cape Verde? And as soon as she started telling me all the information, it all came together in my head because I had been looking for her. I knew she was in the Bay Area when I moved around 2004 or 5.
I love that you
came in.
Had been looking for her, which is great. I mean, this was clearly meant to be. I mean, I'm curious, what did everybody else who was there think when all of a sudden we have this reunion 35 years in the making, but everybody else is there for a World Cup match?
Yeah, I think they were all a little befuddled that this random person who walked in was hugging Yvonne and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." And we were making a bit of a scene, I think, but it was just so magical and so amazing and so surreal. And once everybody realized like what was happening, I think they were still confused, thinking but how is this even possible? You know, that it was so random.
Yvonne, if you had been looking for Jill for all those years, I imagine that she made an impression on you as an instructor. Can you tell us what it was like going back? What year was that? It was 35 years earlier. It's hard for me to do math, but in the mid-90s, what was it like for you having an
early
instructor?
90s, 90 to 92.
Yeah, early 90s. What was it like for you to have an instructor that clearly left an impression on you?
Yeah, so we had different language courses. We learned Portuguese, we learned French in school, so all of it was super boring. And here was a young teacher who played songs, and English relatively to Portuguese and French we weren't conjugating all day. So that was a fun class. And we were learning the new songs and new language, so that was all very fun. We didn't like the new grading methodology she brought from US, but yeah.
Yeah, he did tell me they thought about reporting me at one point because I was doing it wrong. But
oh, well, I'm glad they held off. So clearly,
I don't know that they did. I didn't get in trouble.
I don't know, Yvonne, did you report her?
No, I don't think we did. But we weren't quite happy with the changes. But the changes were good because we were exposed to new perspectives, new ways of doing things.
You know, there had been so much speculation since last August when the couple got engaged about where the wedding would be, would we get to see it, who would get to attend. But more and more clues have emerged over the past few days that the location, the celebration, is going to be right here in the heart of Manhattan, inside Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena where Taylor Swift has performed 8 times. Now, here's what we know. The celebrations are expected to begin on Thursday with what sources are describing to us as a rehearsal that will include about 100 guests. Then the big celebration, a wedding celebration, is expected to take place on Friday. That will kick off in the afternoon with a cocktail party, as most good weddings begin with. And it will go on until late, very late, into Saturday morning at 4 a.m. Now, throughout the day on Tuesday, we saw a lot of activity outside the garden, equipment being moved in and out of the loading docks, and one especially telling clue, a worker who was wearing a t-shirt that read Taylor Swift Carpenters. I do think it's worth perhaps a word of warning about all these clues and Easter eggs and little breadcrumbs perhaps meant to throw us off the scent. It's been done before. We're talking about Taylor Swift here. But our sources familiar with the plans tell us these 2 events are set to happen Thursday and Friday. The last important point about this major event, which, you know, people are describing as America's royal wedding, it's going to be taking place over July 4th weekend. the nation's 250th birthday, which is also going to be happening during what could be a historic heat wave here in New York City. It's at a very famous venue that is located in a very busy intersection of Manhattan. Madison Square Garden is right on top of Penn Station, and of course the World Cup is still underway. So this is going to be a very busy stretch of New York City, at least for the next few days.
You'll be really ashamed of my behavior. I was online arguing with the Twitter bots. I was like, she's still great. You don't deserve her. Who cares if she lost? But here's the deal. I believe what Serena is doing right now isn't so much about winning. It's about letting her daughters see her play so they can understand her legacy. We talk so much about men leaving a legacy behind and, you know, somebody taking over the family business. What she's doing in real time is showing her daughters, look what I did, look what mommy did. And I also believe that she's preparing for the Olympics, which will be in Los Angeles, which is her home. And so she's getting into playing shape. I didn't expect her to go run deep into the Wimbledon, in Wimbledon. Okay, so she lost in the first round. I thought maybe she'd win the first or the second. But what we're witnessing right now is a preparation for the Olympics. This is all a part of the legacy, something for her children to behold, because they're old enough to really understand right now. We're seeing that with other 40-year-old Olympians, such as Allison Felix. Yes. We saw it with Lindsey Vonn. Age is nothing but a number, and I love that these women are saying I can have a family and also be an excellent winner on and off the court, on and off the field. And so that's what we're witnessing right now.
I'm gonna hook a strap to it and pull it out, and then I'm gonna take the tractor home, and I'm gonna come back and get the truck after I pull it out.
There was one trippy problem.
These pages are all baby pictures of kids who just graduated Eastbrook Middle School. That is an infant picture of Adolf Hitler.
They were wearing like bodysuits that had crab like tucked into them. The crab legs right here? What's that?
I was
sitting in my chair on my phone, but I heard the loud crash. The very first thing my wife said, "Oh my God, there's an accident down at the corner."
Montgomery County police say a 15-year-old was driving this car with 2 passengers when they hit an off-duty officer's vehicle, took off, and then crashed into a home. Nobody was hurt. To give you an idea of the before and after, right now you're looking at a picture when the car was still lodged into the home, and right now you're looking at the massive hole that this crash left behind. Crews are actually still working to patch it up. But that's not all I want to show you. We're also seeing where the car crashed into the stop sign here, and you're actually looking at the temporary stop sign crews had to put in. You also still see there are some shards of glass from the wreckage, and we're talking with neighbors out here who tell us that it's very fortunate nobody got hurt.
I have 2 kids. Glad too that all my family was inside of the house the time all the accident happened. Most of the time my kids are playing outside.
If it hit our house, I mean, God knows what we would do. Both myself and my wife are handicapped.
We spoke with the homeowner who did not want to go on camera. He said he and his family are lucky they were not inside the home when this happened. The 15-year-old driver has since been arrested.
Whatever he is responsible for, he needs to pay the price for. I mean, I don't care how old he is.
FWC says it caught and killed an almost 9-foot alligator in Umatilla after it bit a minor on the hand. The boy went to the hospital to be treated and is now recovering. Officials spent Monday morning investigating the area where the accident happened. Several gators are still swimming in this stretch of the Ocklawaha River, which comes as no surprise to those who frequent here. West 2 spoke to Preston Rensell, who has seen firsthand how aggressive the animals can be.
My grandma was fishing the other day, and then she caught a fish, and it came up on the dock, like actually on the dock, and chased us.
Rensell took this video of a gator at Nelson's fish camp. There's no confirmation this is the exact one that bit the kid, but you can see just how close it is to the bank where people fishing would be. A gator conservationist tells West 2 the best way to avoid close contact with gators is to never feed them.
If a fisherman catches a fish and cleans it down near the water's edge and doesn't really think about throwing the discards in the water, that's an accidental feeding, and things like that happen.
Covering Marion County in Umatilla, Olivia Tyler, West 2 News.
These pages are all baby pictures of kids who just graduated Eastbrook Middle School. We're blurring them to protect their identities, but one picture, number 48, has absolutely nothing to do with the students and their school pride. That is an infant picture of Adolf Hitler. We spoke to the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey.
I'm horrified once again by what's going on in our society, that we have lost all sensitivity and have lost all respect for genocide and things that have happened in the past.
Once Eastbrook administration learned about the picture, it acted immediately, instantly, collecting all the books that had been distributed to students. They sent home a letter condemning the act. The principal saying in part, an image of him has no place in a yearbook created for our students. It does not reflect who we are or what Eastbrook stands for, and we condemn its inclusion without reservation. Paramus Mayor Chris D. Piazza with strong words as well.
It doesn't represent Paramus. That we're a diverse community, religions, houses of worship all throughout the town. So it's one bag of action doesn't represent the town.
How the picture was included is under investigation. Paramus police were notified, and the information was shared with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office, all wanting to get to the bottom of who did this.
Why they would do it, the influence behind why they would do it, how it got past the eyeball test, although in all fairness, it might be hard to identify the picture if you don't know that picture.
$657. Big sales are ringing up at fireworks stands near the shops at Tanforan and San Bruno. This year, Safe and Sane fireworks for the 4th of July include...
This one is extra loud and has flash effects.
Pack a nice punch, 25 seconds of purple and oranges and sparklies at the top.
So Laka Laka, that's the one that lights up when it's done. Many fireworks stands could see record-breaking sales this year.
Every firework display across the nation is going to be bigger, bolder, more elaborate than ever before.
According to the American Pyrotechnics Association, more than $2.3 billion in fireworks were sold nationwide in 2025. They expect to top that this year.
This year being America 250 with the World Cup, San Francisco is going to launch fireworks from the Golden Gate Bridge, only the third time in history.
People of all ages are looking forward to coming together for fireworks displays.
Like the sound and like the boom.
Just seeing the big things just shoot up in the sky and then just popping.
In San Mateo County, San Bruno is one of 2 cities that allow the sale of safe and sane fireworks. This holiday could be among the last for safe and sane sales in the city if San Bruno voters approve a measure to ban them. Lynn Berliner helps run the San Bruno Youth Baseball fireworks stand. He says every dollar he makes from selling fireworks goes to help young athletes. He says fireworks sales so far have surprised him. It's only day 2 and he's already sold more than one of these $900 firework packs.
I've sold 2 of them already. It's all big fountains.
The San Mateo County Fire Department reminds everyone to play it safe if you decide to legally light up your own fireworks.
Be safe, exercise extreme caution, don't light fireworks near dry, dead vegetation that could cause a wildland fire.
It was a small flutter to the tip of a branch, a pause, and then Luna lifted into the sky.
As I was watching it, he fledged, and it was the most incredible thing that I've seen to actually get to see an eagle take their very first flight.
As magical as it was to watch online, those bird watching in Fawnskin by Big Bear Lake were ecstatic.
And I ran over to one of the ladies that was here and we just hugged, and I didn't expect to have that kind of emotion with it.
Andrea Prince has been watching the nest since Friday. After driving out from Calabasas, she was hopeful to witness this in person.
It was one of the most beautiful things that I've seen in my life.
She was also here Sunday.
Oh my God!
And caught video of Sandy falling.
The emotions that I had yesterday, that scared me so much.
Sandy appeared to have been knocked out of the nest by her brother Luna. She fell, got her bearings, and then flew.
They know better than us to survive.
Benoit Lesieur drove up with his family from Burbank. He's been watching for years online, but it's his first time to see the eagles in person.
I'm a big fan of nature. I like animals. So, I mean, I never see eagles. Where I'm from in France, we don't have bald eagles, so I always want to see some in real.
Of course, it's been a season of mixed emotions regarding Jackie and Shadow. Laying 2 eggs in January, then losing them, miraculously laying 2 more, all while the community said goodbye to Sandy Steers, whose organization, Friends of Big Bear Valley, operates the nest cams. She died of cancer in February. The community named one of the eaglets after her. So now, with Sandy and her brother Luna both in the sky, folks are hopeful they'll stick around at least for a while.
So that one is Cactus Snag.
So that many here or watching at home can see our nation's emblem of freedom fly.
Coming up here and actually getting to witness this has just, it's been beautiful.
I had 2 burgers, and my guess is one of them, had the grill bristle in them and swallowed it.
Instead of passing through, it punctured his intestine.
Over being online.
Deputies went to check out a crash where the driver had left, and then the driver came back with a tractor to get his truck out of the ditch.
And he's like, I'm gonna hook a strap to it and pull it out, and then I'm gonna take the tractor home, and then I'm gonna come back and get the truck after I pull it out. I said, okay.
A crash report or anything?
I don't know what's going on. What happened? Do you know? Like, did he damage anything over there? Or is it just
the whole front end is tore off by the looks of it?
What happened? I was on the phone.
Okay.
And was talking to a friend and wasn't paying attention.
But there was one trippy problem.
Okay. Can you come stand up and come over here, please? Now we do have you driving your tractor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware that in the state of Florida that you driving any motor vehicle can be considered DUI when you enter Florida roadways?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay.
That Florida man was taken into custody. Deputies say he had a 15-pack of beer in the truck along with multiple open containers. The Nassau County Sheriff's Office posted that video with the message, DUI laws apply to all motor vehicles.
It was supposed to be just another summer cookout. A couple of frozen burgers, a hot grill, and a Memorial Day weekend dinner with family at their Stillwater home. But there was a hidden danger inside one of those burgers.
I had 2 burgers, and my guess is one of them, had the grill bristle in them and swallowed it. Got trapped in my intestine. This is what my dad used to clean the grill.
The wire was so small, Noah says it was barely visible.
About like just this length.
He didn't feel it, he didn't taste it, but within days, the pain became impossible to ignore.
Got up, couldn't lay back down. It was just so much pain.
Doctors ordered a CT scan, confirming the metal was lodged in his bowel. Instead of passing through, it punctured his intestine.
Big surgery, a bowel resection. 3 inches of bowel resected, roughly, and a 6-inch incision in his abdomen.
For days, Noah hoped surgery wouldn't be necessary, but after 4 days in the hospital, doctors told him there was no other option.
Just kind of glad that, I could get it over with and eventually be done with this ongoing pain.
Today, the wire brush sits unused, serving as a reminder and a warning to other families.
I think mostly get rid of your metal grill bristle brushes.
As for Noah's takeaway,
do a lot of chewing when you're grilling, especially if you have a wire grill brush.
In Stillwater with photojournalist Nick Luneman, Jeff Wagner, WCCO News.
I can't believe all of the destruction.
Frantic photos out the car window show the very last moments Trudy Williams spent on the mountain she calls her second home.
The sheriffs were, saying, we need to go, we need to go, you need to go.
Is part of you still in shock?
Oh, yes. Even talking right now, I get emotional.
Now 1 week later, she's preparing to go back for the very first time. Her beloved summer home of 11 years, now a pile of debris.
You sent me photos that someone shared with you passing your property. What is this like to see?
Oh, it's very, very difficult. We felt like we had done everything to keep safe in all these years, and our neighbors have lost everything also.
The human-caused blaze doubled, then tripled in size quickly. And a week later, it's burned a staggering nearly 94,000 acres. Something Williams says she is still struggling to comprehend.
I heard that one of the firemen said that they got it all, this perimeter, and that fire just came up and just jumped the whole perimeter. They said it was just so ferocious, like a monster creeping up the canyon.
At Fire Station 7 in St. Paul, preparation is part of the job. Before these firefighters can respond to an emergency, they rely on equipment designed to protect them before, during, and after a fire. Firefighters suit up in 45 pounds or more of heavy-duty, heat-resistant equipment in a matter of seconds before heading out. It's not easy.
That was more than 30 seconds.
The truck parked inside this station was built just up the road in Wyoming, Minnesota, where firefighter safety is the driving force between every design.
We build safety equipment. Our goal is to make sure the firefighters get to the scene safe and get home
from the scene safely.
That mission is evolving alongside technology. Modern fire apparatus now incorporate camera systems, improved visibility, ergonomic designs, and digital tools. Much of it aimed at navigating tight city streets and reducing traffic collisions while responding.
With all of our vehicles now as a standard, when we complete them, they're equipped with a technology that alerts a driver running certain GPS programs that there's a vehicle approaching a cross street.
Firefighters using these trucks also help shape what comes next.
Rosenbauer's been great. Being local here, having access to local reps, we're able to take it out, test it, and give real, the crews are able to give real feedback on, things that they want, need, or suggestions to make it better going forward.
Each of the trucks are hand-built by welders, electricians, engineers, and skilled craftspeople. Rosenbauer says it employs more than 450 people at its Wyoming campus.
We're bringing in raw material and we're resurrecting a truck, and it's really cool.
As Minnesota manufacturers compete for talent with other states, a strong economy, training, and long-term growth opportunities have become just as important as the technology. For the crews who depend on them, the innovations are about making every response safer.
The big thing for us is firefighter safety. So for us to be able to operate in a safe way and do our job both fast but also in a safe way, not only keeps us safe, but it helps us get to our residents and those in need faster and more efficiently.
In St. Paul, Derek James, WCCO News.
3 months ago, when Sherry Dethridge found out her daughter had leukemia, she started brainstorming.
We're trying to just stay afloat.
The bills had not yet started coming in, but Dethridge says early estimates for the out-of-pocket costs for chemotherapy were in the thousands of dollars.
I was like, there's not a person I know that would be able to afford this.
Her daughter, Stephanie Wolf, who lives in Garden City, is 32 and a mother of 4. She's on her husband's insurance and received the life-changing diagnosis in March.
As a mom, you never want to think about your kids having to grow up without you. And when they told me that I had leukemia, I was like, what do you do? What do I do for them?
That's the same thought Wolf's own mother had. So she started doing what she could.
We're trying to figure out ways to raise money for stuff without just begging for money. She's up at 8 o'clock last night.
Dethridge posted to Facebook asking anyone in her Westland neighborhood if they could donate empty bottles and cans so she could return them for the deposit. Her thought was to make up for any co-pays, lost income, or day-to-day bills that Wolf's family would have to manage.
What did you think when your mom said, I'm going to collect bottles and cans for you?
Originally, I was like, I'm grateful for anything.
What they thought might be a small amount of money turned into a much larger haul, more than $1,000 in a matter of weeks.
When stuff like this happens, it can go one of two ways. You can get people who rally behind you, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think I'm grateful in the fact that a lot of people have rallied around.
Her mother is still at it, accepting cans from whoever is willing to donate.
My goal is to keep my youngest child here with me so she can grow old and grow up and watch her children grow up.
And watch the community rally around her daughter.
As the Twin Cities swelter through a stretch of summer heat, you may need to switch up some of your daily routines, especially with your furry friends.
Mid-afternoon, when that sun is really up high, it takes very little time for them to overheat. Take them out during the cooler times of the day.
That means early morning or late evening walks.
You want to come this way? Come on.
Dr. Hartson with Modern Love Veterinary stresses that when temperatures climb into the 90s, maybe skip the walk altogether.
Definitely in the 90s and those hundreds temperatures, that's an indoor day.
The pavement can be just as dangerous. If it's too hot for your hand, it's too hot for their paws.
Oftentimes what we'll see instead of limping is them licking the paw. So if they're really licking that paw and kind of going after it, that's a reason to get them checked out.
New dog owner Mary Seeger says the hot weather has already changed her good boy Roy's routine.
We've been outside for a whole probably 5 minutes now, and I can already tell he's so tired, and we're making it a quick walk. We're gonna go out, he's gonna do his thing, and then we're probably gonna head right back inside.
She also keeps water close by and takes her vet's advice on alternative options.
They've told us that we could go over to Petco or PetSmart, some places like that are dog friendly, and then we can go inside.
As always, never leave your pets in a hot car, even with the window cracked. And know the best way to earn your dog's approval may simply be staying cool together indoors. In Minneapolis, with photojournalist Nick Luneman, Derek James, WCCO News.
It all started when crews were first called for 2 submerged vehicles.
We didn't know it was a sheriff's deputy's vehicle at first, but definitely a bit of a shock.
Get I Choose Period Panty. इसमें है 360 degree protection. I choose nothing less for my body. सिर्फ 750 रुपीस पर मंथ में टैली प्राइम अकाउंटिंग, जीएसटी, बिलिंग, इनवॉइसिंग और इन्वेंट्री मैनेज करता है। कस्टमर को बिल चाहिए, अकाउंटेंट को जीएसटी डिटेल्स चाहिए और आपको चाहिए स्टॉक और इन्वेंट्री का अपडेट। अब बिजनेस की ज़रूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन रहे एक ही जगह ताकि आपका फोकस रिकॉर्ड्स पर नहीं, बिजनेस ग्रोथ पर रहे। आज ही टैली प्राइम खरीदें।
One decision left this car swept off Oliver just southeast of Wellington Saturday afternoon from days of torrential rain, a decision that set off a chain of events that first responders say never should have happened. Bradley Robinson with Wellington Fire and EMS says it all started when crews were first called for 2 submerged vehicles.
Saturday the 27th, we were dispatched to the 600 block of South Oliver Road in Wellington for a vehicle submersion. While en route, we were advised that there was actually 2 vehicles submerged in the water. When we arrived, we saw 1 vehicle in the east ditch and 1 vehicle in the west ditch.
But as crews arrived, they watched a 3rd vehicle disappear beneath the floodwaters. These photos show the Sumner County Sheriff Deputies patrol SUV after it was swept away while responding to the emergency.
We didn't know it was a sheriff's deputy's vehicle at first, but definitely a bit of a shock.
Sumner County Under Sheriff Mike Westmoreland says 2 other deputies formed a human chain, pulling their fellow deputy to safety before continuing the rescue. The driver of the vehicle in the east ditch escaped on his own, but crews couldn't find the driver of the second car. Robinson says fast-moving water made an immediate search too dangerous.
The water was moving too fast and it was too deep, so we just decided to suspend search efforts on Saturday. We were able to go back on Sunday. KHP was able to bring a helicopter and help search, and they were able to locate a victim about a quarter of a mile to the east of where his vehicle went into the water.
Investigators say both drivers had gone around road closure barricades. Westmoreland says the tragic outcome was entirely preventable.
It's sad because, I mean, it's preventable. It didn't have to happen. You feel for the family, you feel for the friends, you have to make those calls. It takes a toll on deputies as well, because they know that loss was preventable.
This is a scenario where special forces were going through a mass casualty triage simulation. The goal for this team is to find the patients, give them treatment, and save as many lives as they can, while working alongside an unlikely ally.
I walk in and they're like, hey, this is your robot, part of your team. Like, this is gonna help. This is gonna go in on its own based on its AI algorithms. and it's going to find people for you.
Montana National Guardsman Lane Headdress and Brendan Newman got to work with robots at DARPA's national competition at College Station, Texas. Both Headdress and Newman went through different events that focused on a specific aspect of using advanced technology to improve medical triage, from real-world robotic assessment to predicting a patient's needs using data.
This is purely like information gathering of this is a patient, this is how critical they are, and this is what the AI and the robots see, and then it's relaying that back to me, and that helps me make a better decision of how I can help that patient.
Headdress says he's not concerned with AI or robots replacing special forces in the medical field due to their job being too specific and keeping the human element.
No matter how efficient AI becomes, it can't replace what a human can do for another human in this regard of the emotional aspect of treating a casualty.
Like Headdress, Newman believes AI and robots won't replace special forces in the medical field. However, Newman says it's critical to work with DARPA to provide feedback on making improvements to this advanced technology.
Utilizing it and being like, this is helping me, or hey, this would be helpful if this change happens. So helping those teams define that area.
In Catawba County, these brick masons never stopped moving as they worked in a new subdivision south of Hickory. Their best advice as temperatures climb this week is to stay hydrated to keep from being hurt on the job.
It's important to drink water, it really is, and not keep yourself from dehydrating and falling out here and having a heat stroke. It's very dangerous.
Try to keep it off of me as much as I can. Once you sweat and this stuff too, it kind of like cools down. Keep you a little bit cooler.
Across the foothills, we spotted these workers from Hickory repairing a sewer line this morning and then filling back in the hole before it got too hot.
Keep extra water coolers on the trucks. We take breaks in the AC on the trucks. They give us time to cool off and stuff in between.
These NCDOT workers are making repairs to Damascus Church Road north of Statesville. The crews here try to stagger their work doing some of the more strenuous jobs earlier in the day and stay hydrated.
You know, we deal with it every year. Every year we have hot weather. Every year we learn to deal with it. You know, we've got guys that's done this for 25 years.
But this year the drought has forced the closure of splash pads across Hickory, Morganton, and Lenore, where families were hoping to cool off today.
The bit of rain we have gotten, it's caused the humidity to be terrible. So great way to like cool off during the summer, and since it's not open, we don't have that option.
The tree's over 200 years old, so it's a shame to just see it go away, you know.
Justin Howland's chainsaw is resurrecting Delvin's patriotic past inside of this storied oak.
It was around during the Civil War, and they thought it would be appropriate to depict the soldier and the nurse.
And longtime residents like Bob Dahl are ecstatic to see it take shape.
It was uncertain whether the tree could actually be preserved. What condition was it in?
The muster tree stood tall near Delavan's former train station for 270 years, but the leaves stopped growing in 2023. While a mural near the tree stump proudly shows off its Civil War roots, Justin spent weeks turning the trunk into another salute to Old Glory.
What do you hope people look at when they see your work when it's done?
Hopefully they think I did a good job.
Bob approves of it, and he thinks the soldiers who went off to fight under this tree would like it as well.
The people who mustered at that tree to go serve our country now has the tree preserved and their memory.
After 2 weeks of work, this is the nearly finished product. 2 symbols of freedom and service, which could watch over Delavan for another 250 years. In Delavan, Todd Simmons, TMJ4 News.
Nothing like another day of South Florida heat to get you ready for the biggest game of your tournament. Portugal now in elimination mode and ready to leave Gardens, but grateful for their time at North County District Park.
It's been great. You guys have a great place here. People were very, very nice to us. The way they welcomed us was just fantastic, and we're really grateful.
From Portugal landing at PBI Airport to the initial practice open to a few fans, locals have welcomed Portugal with open arms. The team even taking a thank you picture with the city employees that helped make Gardens their home away from home.
Starts with the pitch, so that's number one. That's the number one asset that we have that teams come for. But then it's really just, after that, it's just a level of service that the city of Palm Beach Gardens offers these teams
that's really special and that they really appreciate it.
And if Portugal keeps winning in the World Cup, Palm Beach Gardens can take a little credit for their successful showing.
So what they would do is the roller would roll the dice.
8-year-old Clara is one of dozens of Lewis Central students I met in February at the school's Invention Convention.
The oldest is the judge, youngest is the roller.
She invented a dice game called Road Trip Roll, one of 11 Iowa kids selected to compete nationally.
It was like really excited, and I did think I had a good chance.
Clara placed second in her age group.
What made you think of this idea?
Well, I was thinking of maybe some sort of game or something to do on a road trip.
We want them to be able to solve problems. That's the whole point. So she solved the problem of not having screens in the cars.
How much screen time were kids getting a day?
About the average nationally is about 6 hours a day.
Inventions don't have to be high tech, says teacher Melissa Taylor.
Clara's is so simple. But what a lifesaver for families taking long road trips.
Inspired by I Spy, players roll a die with colors and a die with letters.
Purple and G.
There's a point system, and they try to match one or both dice. Clara and brother Ben demonstrate.
Grandma, purple grandma.
Lewis Central is working with the University of Iowa to continue expanding the program.
And what did you learn going through this process with the kids?
That kids are resilient, they're reflective, they're problem solvers, and they really are going to be our future. I mean, they're going to be the ones who solve the problems that we all have in more efficient ways.
About 300,000 kids participated in the United States this year. In Council Bluffs, I'm Southwest Iowa neighborhood reporter Katrina Markle.
Parents and students returned to PSIS 113 after a person was found dead this morning inside the school's chimney.
Guy's dead, must have been dead for a few days, right? Nobody noticed? That's kind of scary.
Everyone knows that high sugar spikes aren't great, but here's the catch. Our protein powder might be giving us one without us even realizing it. Just because a protein is clean or natural, it doesn't automatically mean that it will give a low sugar spike. A spike is a spike, whether it's from refined sugar, jaggery, or even date powder. Now that's why True Basics Clean Protein stood out. No sweeteners, no added sugars, not even the natural ones.
Up above.
I heard all the helicopters and sirens.
To the ground.
Unbelievable. It's just very hard to believe.
NYPD crime scene unit investigators arrive at this Glendale, Queens public school after a disturbing and peculiar find.
We decided to come here and see for ourselves to see if it was true.
Parents and students returned to PSIS 113 after a person was found dead this morning inside the school's chimney.
Guy's dead, must have been dead for a few days, right? Nobody noticed? That's kind of scary.
I'm shocked because our school is like a really nice place, and to see hear someone that's dead,
shocked.
Police say they received a 911 call just before 9 a.m. from the school after a janitor smelled a foul odor coming from the chimney.
But it's just tragic, like whoever it is, whatever happened, it's really sad.
Police say the janitor called for the exterminator, who opened the ash dump and discovered a shoe. He went further in and felt a foot.
This is just horrible, honestly. I feel bad for the family. I send prayers to the family.
School let out for the summer on Friday. Officials say no students or staff were present at the time, mainly contractors, part of the construction of the school. Parents say this scaffolding has been up for about a year.
I do thank God it didn't happen when the kids were in school, that they didn't find out about it, but it's still, and summer camp starts next week.
This school has always been good, and the neighborhood has always been good, so it really shocked me. I never seen this before, and I hope we never see it again.
This is a little upsetting because she goes to the school. I don't know how they're going to feel next year when they go back to school, if they're going to be scared or not.
Hopefully they find out how it happened and how that body got there.
But I don't know if I was scared and just calm, or if it was because God was with me and that made me calm.
After having lunch with a close friend Friday afternoon, Carolyn Green noticed the weather in Cape Girardeau starting to take a turn.
It was getting really bad out, and we came to where Huck's gas station is, and I saw people pulled over.
At Bloomfield and Kings Highway, floodwaters had already taken over parts of the road, trapping their car in rising water.
I was going to back up after I got in the water, and it just grabbed us and started turning us around and around.
And as the car started to go into the water and it was out of your control, what was going through your head?
I was praying a lot. And after I called 911, I told them where we were and what kind of car we were in. I said, you may not be able to see it very well because it's pretty deep.
Paula Woods was in the car with Carolyn. She tells me the rising water was up to their necks. She says everything happened so fast that there wasn't any time to be scared.
She had moved to the back seat to get higher, and I was still in the front seat, and she wanted me to get in the back seat, and I said, too cold. I was just so cold that I didn't want to move any part of me.
With her friend still trapped in the front seat, Carolyn feared the worst.
I was scared to death they weren't going to get her out in time because they were working on me.
Once first responders arrived on the scene, they smashed the back windshield and pulled both women to safety, though Paula fought to bring her purse with her.
They started trying to drag me out, and I hung on to my purse. They told me, drop it. No, I kept my purse with me. I remember I came out with my purse dragging behind me.
Carolyn's car wasn't as lucky. It stayed behind, completely swallowed by the flood, soaking everything inside, except for one thing.
My Bible. It was damp around the edges, but the important part, the inside stayed dry. And it was underwater too.
Do you believe God was there with you that day?
God was with us. We would have drowned if he hadn't been there. He was holding us up in the car from being completely submerged until we were out.
I was heartened by the fact that even justices appointed by President Trump voted affirmatively for birthright citizenship today and for the Constitution. Again, the president does not have the authority by himself through an executive order.
President Trump argued that the wording in the 14th Amendment did not apply to people today. But the justices interpreted those words to mean that all children born in the U.S. were automatically granted citizenship. Hanaher's clients, including immigrants and refugees, have not seen this as an issue.
The Constitution says what it means, and today the Supreme Court reaffirmed that people born in the United States are United States citizens. It's simple as that.
Hanaher's office has resettled up to 800 refugees since 2021, and according to the Migration Policy Institute, there were over 41,000 immigrants in North Dakota in 2024, and in Minnesota, there were over 523,000 immigrants.
There's a lot of parents that do come here illegally, and then they have these kids, and then years later, then they're caught, or they've been here for a long time. They grew up here, they were born here, they don't know another country and then to be deported or taken their citizenship from them, even though they were born here, I don't agree with that.
Rifki was brought here by her family from Kurdistan in 1992. It wasn't until she was 18 that she was able to apply for citizenship.
I see myself as an American from an immigrant, family, but I think it's important that we make sure that the immigrant community knows that they belong.
Juliana Blyas, KVRR, Local News.
From the looks of it, it's a dirty job. Sorting through hundreds of pounds of garbage at the Anchorage landfill isn't something everyone would want to do, including Solid Waste Services Director Kelly Toth.
Are you glad you're not doing that?
I'm glad I'm not doing it, but I am so excited for the information that it's going to give us.
Toth says the waste characterization study, as it's called, is important to understand what is going into the landfill and what could be diverted somewhere else to save room here. The city also needs the information for a long-term waste-to-energy project it hopes to build in the next few years. Sarah Costaitis-Graham is the solid waste engineer in charge of the study.
Really, any place that your trash goes, I work with.
We asked her to show us some of what she's found.
So this is the lunch bucket.
There's plenty of food waste.
You can see it's anywhere from a whole uneaten sandwich to just kind of scraps.
Medicines.
These are things that we'd prefer to see go through a drug take-back program.
And often clothes.
We actually had a load come through yesterday that we had all brand new clothes with tags on it.
But sometimes she finds more personal items.
This one was actually dated from the 30s.
This one had a date
on it?
on it?
1939.
That make you wonder how they ended up here.
If we can keep it out of the landfill and do something beneficial for it and change our behavior and really start, before we throw something away, think, could this be used somewhere else?
Yeah.
We should be doing that.
Toth says she hopes the study will help shed light on what's hidden in the landfill and maybe even lead to change. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
On a hot Louisiana summer day, there's one place many people would rather be than stuck in the office or on the road. That's why Mindy Starkey and her husband decided to meet those folks where they want to be, out on the water.
Lakeshore Lunchbox is a food ferry on the Tickfall River in Lake Marpole.
Instead of heading back to shore for a meal, boaters now can wave down the Lakeshore Lunchbox, a floating kitchen that serves fresh food right where the fun is.
You go out on the river, you're boating and swimming and you're hungry, and a lot of people just bring chips and sandwiches or nothing at all, and they're looking for a bite to eat, but without leaving the lake or the river.
The idea may be unique, but for Lakeshore Lunchbox owners, feeding people comes as naturally as fishing, water skiing, or lounging in the sun.
I love cooking, so that's kind of where we started.
My husband loves to cook, he loves to feed people, he loves the joy it brings. We're South Louisiana, people like to eat here.
The Lakeshore Lunchbox plans to be on the water every weekend through Labor Day, bringing an entire menu directly to folks on the Tickfall River and Lake Marpole. The business also serves as a way to honor John Saucier, a close friend who passed away on June 6th of last year. Starkey says Saucier helps inspire the floating food truck dream that became reality this summer.
We kind of want to honor them and thank them for giving us this opportunity to continue our dreams and their dreams.
That means every meal delivered across the water serves the Starkeys as a reminder that while their friend may be gone, the dream he helped inspire continues to make waves.
I had no doubt the whole time he'll make it back home. It's just mind-blowing that he was all the way in New York.
let's take you to Upper Left USA. In Washington State, 4 people are accused of illegally hiding crabs in their clothes.
They were wearing like bodysuits that had crab like tucked into them and sewn into their jackets. So this, the crab legs right here, what's that? Yeah, okay, so let's take the jacket off. I already got a jacket full of crab. What's that? Those are crab in there. I can see that they're crab. You know, the crab that are in your pants. Everybody's getting criminal tickets. Does she have crab in her bra? It looks like she does. Yeah, I can hear the bag. We have 2 charges. Undersized crab, and then we have not telling me about it when I knew about them, for everybody.
It happened after police spotted a man stuffing one of them in the hood of a woman's jacket. The group submitted 5 crabs for inspection and when questioned, denied having any more. Officers then searched the suspect and found 21 crabs.
Gators ain't nothing to mess with.
But they're a reality for those out on the water.
I'm often spotting all of the gators around.
And in the state with the highest population of alligators, more than 1 million, there's something to be cautious of, no matter what type of body of water you enter.
They're here, you just gotta, keep your eyes open. Be careful.
The gator was removed and euthanized by trappers. Fish and Wildlife says it was 8 feet 3 inches in length.
We hate to see things like this happen because most of the time it is not the alligator's fault and it's just people in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Brandon Fisher is with Gatorland. He says putting down the gator in this sort of situation is the law.
It's just very important that, for folks that are visiting or living here in Florida that, you stay away as far as you can. Don't feed them, don't touch them, don't catch them, don't mess with them. You want to see alligators up close and personal, you come to places like Gatorland.
We're entering gator nesting season. That means female gators in particular are going to be more territorial. Fisher cautions people in the water to avoid grassy areas where gators could lurk.
Splashing around in the water, an alligator might mistake you as a human being, as an animal that is injured, part of its prey. But again, what are alligators eating? They're eating small things, fish, turtles, and birds.
FWC says the victim was a 19-year-old male who was snorkeling. He was bitten and injured in his neck and head area.
The ones with the yellow and brown in the bags, those are covered in an odor that we believe is mustard, vinegar, and coffee grinds that
used to throw off the dog's scent. But Rogue found this meth anyway, along with everything else you see in this room, totaling close to $1.5 million.
There's not a lot of major crime here in Mesquite. We've been ranked the safest city in Nevada for quite a few years. So this is major criminal activity. Some of these drugs, or even all of them, will be tied to Mexican cartels.
And here is the drug-sniffing sleuth. The 9-year-old Malinois and his handler, Ryan Hughes, have been hitting I-15, which police say is a corridor for the cartels. Dealers try to hide the drugs, but Rogue continues to find them. 289 pounds of meth in just the last 6 months, compared to 343 pounds total over 6 years. Mesquite PD did a little test for us. Hiding a container with some meth on a patrol car, Rogue ran around the car a couple times sniffing and then found the drugs. Police believe these drugs were headed for Colorado and the Midwest, but have seen the devastation caused by drugs in Mesquite.
Every time we take it off the street, we are hoping that we've either saved a life or helped some community or family down the line that would have been negatively affected by having this.
At the end of the day, another bust means plate time with a red ball. This is just fun and games for Rogue, but serious business for law enforcement in the continuing war on drugs.
Algae does have a purpose. It's the base of the food web in aquatic environments.
Rachel Crabb is the Water Resources and Stormwater Manager for Minneapolis Parks and Rec. She says tiny invertebrates, often barely visible to humans, eat algae.
And then those invertebrates are then in turn eaten by small fish that are eaten by bigger fish, and then eventually you have a healthy, diverse lake.
Algae can look like plants, but they don't have true roots, stems, or leaves. They form thanks to a mix of light, heat, and nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. While this algae on Baday-Macaska is a visual nuisance to humans, it's not toxic. That warning is reserved for a different type of algae that's technically a bacteria.
Called cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. And this type of algae can actually make a lot of different chemicals, and some of those chemicals are toxic to people and pets.
It's the reason beaches in the city might temporarily close. Crab showed us how to check for the toxic bacteria. If it hangs off of a stick, it's normal algae.
The filamentous green algae it's almost like little hairs that interlock.
But if it coats the stick like paint, it's blue-green.
In Minneapolis, the city, the park board, lots of different organizations do projects to treat stormwater, and that stormwater is a big source of phosphorus to the lakes. So as we treat phosphorus in stormwater, we reduce the amount of nutrients going into our lakes.
When compared to a lake, algae are much easier to control in smaller man-made structures. Take, for example, the lily pad pool outside the Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. We're told they use a biological enzyme method to prevent algae blooms that also protects the plant life. This process costs about $3,000 to $4,000 a year. And unlike lakes, pools can be drained to clean out algae. That's the plan for the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool in Washington, where the green growth hasn't stopped despite millions of dollars in renovations. Krabs says managing algae in natural bodies is a delicate balance.
So we all want lakes to be fishable and swimmable, and too much algae can make it difficult to swim, but not enough algae means that your lake is almost dead.
My students think I'm like the coolest person in the world because I can come in and say, I own a board game now. They're like, what? You own a board game?
Jordan Kisman can thank Nine Stone for his newfound street cred among fourth graders at the Weatherby School in Hamden. Kisman first encountered the game on the recommendation of a fellow teacher.
He said, hey, you guys like chess? I got something that's very similar but different, and I guarantee you've never heard of it before. And so he brought us the box the next day and we tried it out, and it was a hit. It was very fun. Your object of the entire game is to make a rail, which is 3 in a row.
Kisman students saw it on his desk and asked to play. They were quickly hooked too.
They asked through the rest of the school year, anytime there was like free time or they finished early, can we please play Nine Stone?
Game boards were limited, so Kisman developed an online version so every student could play. Then an idea took hold.
I thought, well, I gotta kind of keep this within the school environment because this is not mine to distribute. And then I said, well, wait a minute, maybe it could be.
Kisman reached out to Ryan Armstrong, who agreed to sell the rights to his grandfather Ed's creation.
When I talked to him, a lot of the family members of Ed who created this game were there in the office that day, and they said, we're just so happy that it's getting back out there. So I think that's the value in it, is just keeping it alive and getting it back out in the world.
Other than shortening the instructions, Nine Stone's redesign is largely a refresh.
Something that myself and my students appreciated about the game was sort of the nostalgia of it. The kids really seem to like the board game. I like the board game, right? I'm sure a universal experience for Mainers is going up to camp and playing a board game. So it's like, sometimes we need to put the screens away and let's do a real board game.
Oof, I am in trouble now. Kisman isn't sure where this new venture will take him, but at the very least, it will serve as a lesson for his students.
I think that it has been a positive reinforcement that the good ideas or the crazy ideas that you have can sometimes work out. I mean, obviously, relatively fresh to this year. I don't know whether this is going to be 100 copies or 1,000,000 copies or whatnot, but you did it. It's an idea, right? And it was a place that I didn't think I would be, a thing I didn't think I would be doing, and it worked out. Here it is.
First, Apollo had to greet his cousin Milo, make sure his favorite toys were safe, check in with Josie's 1-year-old daughter who's learned to crawl since he left, perform a trick, and finally meet newborn Nicholas Jr., who was born while Apollo was away.
I can't wait for those two to get acclimated with one another.
Nicholas Josie got up at 2:30 a.m. to bring Apollo home. He flew from Orlando to New York City, where Vera's aunt handed off Apollo.
I had no doubt the whole time he'll make it back home. It's just mind-blowing that he was all the way in New York.
Yes.
So that's just like he went to New York City. He went to New York before any of us.
When Apollo disappeared in April, the Josie surveillance camera caught someone in a white car stop and pick him up. The Marion County Sheriff's Office said they didn't have evidence of a crime at the time, but the Josies want to find the person who took their dog. They've been doing some sleuthing of their own and say they spotted a social media post from Long Island with a familiar fuzzy face.
We actually found a picture of Apollo from Tuesday.
That was the same day Apollo ended up at a police station in Long Island, where he was then taken to a shelter and scanned for a chip.
That is my dog. I'm 1,000% sure that is Apollo Franklin Josie.
I asked the Marion County Sheriff's Office, and they said if new information points to criminal intent, deputies will investigate. Now that Apollo is home, the Josies plan to call them to share what they found. For now, everyone's just happy Apollo is finally home, just in time to celebrate his upcoming 14th birthday.
We'll have a party.
Yeah.
We'll do a party.
In Ocala, Alex Cook, News 6.
Tonight, a massive security breach at one of America's most iconic landmarks. Two masked climbers scale the Empire State Building. The heart-stopping stunt involved a mid-air marriage proposal, and an investigation is now underway. Also tonight, a dangerous record-shattering heat wave gripping half of the nation. 180 million Americans under extreme alerts as we head into the holiday weekend. Meteorologist Allison Chinchar is tracking the temperatures threatening to make this the hottest July 4th ever recorded.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash.
The president's unprecedented profits. New CNN reporting on President Trump's growing personal fortune since taking back the White House. As he takes flight on the new Air Force One gifted to him by the Qatari government, we're at the White House tonight. And a story you'll see only on CNN. Our own Elizabeth Wagmeister pressing Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg about high-profile criminal cases. The moment she asked why he chose not to retry disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein on rape charges, that's coming up. And it's do or die for the U.S. men's team playing in their first World Cup knockout match in 24 years. CNN's Coy Wire is at the stadium with a preview of this must-win match. And we are on wedding watch. What CNN crews spotted outside Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's rumored weekend wedding location. That's all ahead on CNN Headline Express. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Renee Marsh, and this is CNN Headline Express. We know you've had a busy day, so let's get you caught up on what you've missed. We are following several developing stories as we come on the air tonight. But we begin with a wild scene, really, playing out today, nearly 1,500 feet above Midtown Manhattan. Two people are now in police custody after a daring stunt on the antenna of the Empire State Building. You can see the video there. You see the two people there. That is where the couple flew a banner and appeared to get engaged before being met by police. We now know the pair is Angela Nicolo and Evan Kuznetsov, who also uses the Instagram name Ivan Birkus. CNN's Jason Carroll is at the Empire State Building, and he starts us off.
Welcome to the digital age. This couple on top of the Empire State Building at one point actually posted to Instagram, live streaming their antics. Some of that video we've been able to uncover, and we can bring that to you. When they were up there for a while, news helicopters were up there, and we could see them hugging at a certain point, kissing at a certain point, unfurling that huge flag with the saying, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. Of course, a quote attributed to Jimi Hendrix, but a lot of speculation about exactly what they were doing up there. I mean, again, for a while they were hugging, they were kissing. It appears as if they were taking selfies. And it looked at one point as if the woman who was up there wearing some sort of a black Catwoman type of mask was taking a picture of her hand, perhaps a ring on her finger. Now that they're in custody, perhaps we'll get some more information about that. But this call initially came in at about noon. It was lunch rush hour out here on the streets of New York. One of these people, Alyssa Morales, you were down here as I got out here watching it all sort of unfold. What was going through your mind when you looked up and saw that flag and everything else?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that, they were free climbing, which is a little scary, to make sure that they were okay. I saw the banner. I understand the message. If it is a proposal, I don't think that's a proposal I would want, but I commend them for using something personal to try to make a more global impact.
I see. You were standing around with a lot of other people. See a lot of crazy things in New York from time to time. How does this one rank?
I think this ranks probably the top 10. But we just had the Knicks win a championship.
That's right.
So a lot of craziness went on there. Yep. So I think right now in New York, you have to go to an extreme to try to top what's been going on the last 6 weeks or so.
All right, thank you very much. The two who are on top of the Empire State Building now in custody, and now there are going to be a lot of questions how they were able to get up there. As you know, there's a huge observation deck on top of the Empire State Building, and so one can imagine they went up there, sort of got in there with the rest of the tourists, and then made their ascent to the top of the antenna. Now that they're in custody, perhaps we'll get more information about the future nuptials. We'll see.
Brave souls. I'm getting sweaty palms just looking at their video. Jason, thank you. And tonight, the heat is on for more than 150 million Americans, just as Independence Day festivities get underway. Nearly half of the country is now under heat alerts, with several major cities set to hit triple-digit temperatures. Chicago is one of many major cities under extreme heat warnings. One local business owner has been handing out air conditioners to help people stay safe.
That's why I'm doing it, right? I just can't imagine living in a place, especially for those that have children or the elderly that have to try to deal with it.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
I was going to have to make do with the fan, but this is going to make a real big difference.
Be a little easier to sleep tonight?
Man, a lot easier.
And the dangerous and historic heat is already impacting America's 250th birthday celebrations. Officials in Philadelphia, often cited as the birthplace of America, are being forced to cut the city's parade route in half. And the nation's capital could see its hottest 4th of July ever. CNN meteorologist Allison Chinchar is tracking the extreme heat for us. Allison?
For some of these areas, this is going to be the hottest so far this summer. And just like you said, the real concern here is how many people were expected to be outdoors over the next couple of days for celebrations and festivities, not to mention people are just on holiday, on vacation. The same reason we had all of that heat in Europe last week is the same reason we have the heat across the eastern U.S. this week, and that's the heat dome that is essentially trapping all of that heat right down at the surface layer, making those temperatures and the feels like temperatures really extreme in some places. Now, the forecast heat index, that's the combination of the air temperature plus the humidity put together, is expected to peak at 105 today in Nashville. Same thing in Raleigh, 109 in Washington, D.C., even as far north as New York. Looking at that feels like temperature to reach the triple digits. It's why you have all of these areas under some type of extreme heat alert. Again, you can see it stretches from Kansas all the way over to Washington, D.C. and up through Maine. And it's going to be multi-days for many of these areas. Take Washington, D.C., for example, at least 3 straight days in a row of having that high temperature in the triple digits. Remember, this is the temperature. This is not just the feels like. This is the actual air temperature. Atlanta, Nashville, Raleigh, all looking at those mid to upper 90s. And then you factor in with the humidity, what it's going to feel like on your body for a lot of these areas, and it gets even higher. Look at this for Washington, D.C. today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, all looking at least 108 degrees Fahrenheit for that feels like temperature. The other concern is those overnight low temperatures, because in many of these areas, we're not cooling off. And that's a concern because when your body doesn't have a chance to cool off at night, it's at more risk for things like heat exhaustion and heat stroke the very next day as those temperatures continue to climb. So take for New York, for example, again, look at some of these numbers. You're talking low 80s. That is all the cooler it is going to get at night over the next several days, and many nights in a row. That's the other concern, too, for a lot of these areas. So you end up getting what we refer to as the extreme heat risk for a lot of these places, not just Wednesday, but even as we finish out the rest of the week.
Allison, thank you. And for all of your weather needs from any location, you can download the CNN weather app at cnn.com/CNN weather for up-to-date tracking on your forecast. Now to some new developments tonight as the new Air Force One marks its inaugural flight. The luxury jet today bringing President Trump to North Dakota. He was there for the opening of the new Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library and to celebrate America 250. The plane is a gift from Qatar. It's estimated to be worth about $400 million. Trump will reportedly use this plane until a new U.S.-built aircraft is finished. That will be in about 2 years. But this donation from the Qatari government has raised a number of legal, ethical, and national security concerns, points Trump has largely brushed off.
There's never been a plane like it. Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary. They spent top dollars.
And new details tonight on Trump's pretty profitable presidency. New financial disclosures show his first year back in the White House was one of his most profitable ever. The president making more than $2 billion last year alone. More than $1 billion of those dollars are from cryptocurrency ventures. Other parts of his income reportedly coming from legal settlements, branding deals, and his golf properties. His wealth is something he's touted a lot in the past.
Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich. I'm really rich.
Fortunately, I'm very rich. The money you're talking about is a lot.
Hey, I'm rich. I have a lot of money. Great assets, low debt, great cash.
Here's the good news. I'm very rich.
But today, the president struck a different tone, largely shrugging off this new reporting. Here's CNN's Kristen Holmes with more from the White House.
I want to take a look at this money because, as you said, it's billions with a B, $1 billion of that coming from these cryptocurrency ventures. So let's look at what's in this financial disclosure. We're talking about $635 million in celebration coins deals. These are crypto memes, meme coins, and then $526 million in crypto tokens, and then $77 million, which is actually up in memberships and money coming in at Mar-a-Lago as property. Then you're looking at $4.7 million in royalties for Trump watches and less than $1 million in gifts, Trump Bibles, etc., things that he has branded there. Now, he specifically was asked about whether or not there are concerns or asked to respond to these concerns that he's profiting off this, his position in office, he not only shrugged them off, he said he had nothing to do with it and then put it on something else. Take a listen.
And I never speak to any of the people that run the money, but they're at big institutions and they invest in whatever they invest in.
But critics say you're profiting off the presidency.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting.
It's unsurprising. That's something we've heard President Trump say a lot. He is fixated on the stock market. But there is one thing I want to show you here, which is the value of some of this crypto that he had made so much of this money from. We have done an analysis, and this is down, this Trump value, 98% from the all-time high. The reason that's significant, it means that, yes, President Trump earned millions of dollars off of this, but the other people who invested in it, not so much.
Well, in election news, a 29-year-old Democratic socialist unseats an incumbent in another primary race. Malat Quiroz defeated 15-term Representative Diana DeGette in Colorado's 1st District. The longtime Congresswoman was first elected before her challenger was even born. Quiroz was the third progressive challenger to defeat a sitting House member in 8 days after 2 others won last week in New York. But it was a different story in Colorado's Democratic Senate primary. Incumbent John Hickenlooper will defeat progressive challenger State Senator Julie Gonzalez. He will face Republican state lawmaker Mark Blasey in November. And in Colorado's race for governor, the state's Attorney General Phil Weiser will advance to the general election, defeating U.S. Senator Michael Bennet. Meanwhile, in California, it's win or go home for Team USA. The U.S. men's national team is trying to win its first World Cup knockout match since 2002. The high-stakes game between Bosnia and Herzegovina kicks off tonight in Santa Clara, California. That's where we find CNN sports anchor Coy Wire with what this moment means for Team USA.
So I don't know if you can hear the excitement building. I was never really a fan of Bosnia and Herzegovina music until about 10 minutes ago. They're waiting to be able to get into this stadium where it's about to be on. You can almost feel the heartbeat of American footy getting louder. Today isn't just a knockout match, it's a chance to kick down another door. The U.S. hasn't reached a World Cup quarterfinal since 2002. Back then, smartphones didn't exist. Social media wasn't a thing. But now this 15th ranked squad has a chance to give America its biggest World Cup moment in nearly a quarter century. Standing in the way, 61st ranked Bosnia and Herzegovina. The U.S. players have told me they've been feeding off of all the fans' energy, and they've helped them get off to fast starts. Right, 3 goals so far in the first 15 minutes, more than any other team so far. The fans and their coach Pochettino has them believing, why not us? Listen.
For sure, the energy in the stadium helps us a lot. Being here in America, just the energy within the team. I think we've done a good job of starting strong, and it helps us a lot. So, yeah, we want to keep that mentality.
I think we're a country full of believers, and ultimately every game, every tournament we go into, we want to win. So, I mean, that mentality has stuck with us ever since he said it. I think a lot of us believed it, but I think it was good to hear him say it. So, ultimately, it's the same mentality throughout the rest of this tournament. It's one game at a time. But again, why not us?
All right, now Bosnia and Herzegovina are a talented, fearless side with nothing to lose, and those teams can be dangerous. It's a huge moment for U.S. goalie Matt Freese, self-described nerd, son of a pioneering neurosurgeon. He played at Harvard. A few years ago, he was a backup in MLS. Now he's a keeper for New York City FC and might be guarding America's World Cup dreams. We asked him about his journey, which nobody saw coming.
An interesting, jump to leave school early and leave the promise of a college degree early to chase your dreams, and 26 years of hard work meeting with opportunity at the right time. To now be able to do that at a World Cup is, means a lot of that sacrifice, and that leap of faith was completely worth it, and all the other work that went into it was worth it.
All right, the Harvard hero hoping to stop Bosnia and Herzegovina from crashing America's party with what would be their biggest win. Somebody has to lose. Somebody's dream will end today. The crowds, they're about to set this thing off. Can't wait to be in there and experience that and then tell the stories of what we're about to see today.
Well, we're just getting started here on CNN Headline Express. Lending a helping hand, roughly 2,000 U.S. troops are on the ground in Venezuela 1 week after devastating twin earthquakes rocked the country. Where things stand when CNN Headline Express returns. Plus, while temperatures across the U.S. are heating up, gas prices are finally cooling off. We'll talk through this latest dip in prices, allowing for some relief at the pump. And a major update in the world of AI, what the White House is now allowing Anthropic to do after the break.
I was dealing with back pain every day. My old mattress has no support. And honestly, my back pain has gotten even worse.
So, I upgraded to the Sleep Company mattress, जो कि है इंडिया का first and only smart grid technology mattress. Smart grid मुझे देता है soft comfort और firm back support, ताकि मेरी back पूरे दिन aligned रहे. The mattress also has SnowTech cooling fabric that keeps it 4 to 6 degrees cooler. Cool, comfy, and perfectly supportive. It's like sleeping on a cloud. You also get a 10-year warranty and 100-night trial. If it doesn't work for you, which I doubt, you can return it. No questions asked. Search for the Sleep Company online and find your nearest store now.
Well, new information out of Venezuela tonight as roughly 2,000 U.S. service members are assisting with search and rescue efforts in the country. 1 week after powerful earthquakes hit Venezuelan officials now say more than 2,200 people are dead and at least 11,000 injured. That death toll number just continues to rise. And CNN's Isa Suarez takes us to one of the disaster zones where strangers have come together hoping to find signs of life.
With nothing more than borrowed tools, Davis Ramos digs through the rubble. The twin mattresses of his 2 little girls are within sight, and he anchors his strength in knowing that soon he will hold them close, even if it's a final goodbye.
Ahorita no puedo pensar en el llanto, ahorita no puedo pensar, aunque se me parte el alma por dentro, pensar en llorar, porque con lágrimas no...
Fuerza, sí.
Con lágrimas no voy a mover una piedra.
While we hear a rescue team from North Carolina arrive, looking for signs of life or death.
I know that we have still been finding people alive in these buildings, so I'm not ready to give up yet.
Almost a week since those fateful back-to-back earthquakes, hope of finding survivors is fading fast. But in the midst of unimaginable grief, a moment of compassion and humanity between an American rescuer and a grieving Venezuelan father. The scene here in La Guaira is apocalyptic, with countless buildings pancaked by the ferocity of the quakes. And while families wait for answers, heavy machinery sits idle.
Señor,
¿Por qué no está prendido? He doesn't have petrol. He doesn't have fuel. I mean, tell that to the families. A sorry sight for one of the world's largest oil reserves. Hazel Mendoza has seen this firsthand. She traveled from Tampa, Florida, to search for her loved ones.
This guy, work with the nails. They try the hands. They try to do everything without nothing. They don't have, shoes. They don't have machine like drills, big drills that you need. They don't have sensors. They don't have anything.
We walk from building to building. The scale of destruction stretches for blocks. Around every corner, Didn't have a chance. a house of horrors. Still, Venezuelans dig, with rickety tools, shovels and buckets. As we depart La Guaira, an arresting scene of casket after casket and of overwhelming loss.
Thank you, Isa. And for more information about how you can help Venezuela earthquake victims, go to cnn.com/impact. Or if you're in the U.S., you can text Quake to 707070. Well, back in the United States, thousands of acres are burning in Colorado and Utah, including the Aspen Acres fire, leading to evacuations even of entire towns in some cases. At least a dozen fires in Utah alone have triggered fireworks bans. The fire you see here growing to an area bigger than Salt Lake City and is barely contained. And dangerous fire weather conditions are expected to continue through the rest of the week, getting worse near the week's end, meaning there's no end in sight for the hard-hit area. New developments in the war with Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance acknowledging it's still early, but says peace talks in Qatar are, quote, going well, adding that discussions over nuclear issues would start soon. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner are in Doha, the pair taking part in the indirect negotiations happening between the U.S. and Iran. And the potential for peace prompting a major drop in oil prices. A barrel of Brent crude cost just over $100 at the end of March. Now that's down nearly 43% as of yesterday. It's a little more than $70 per barrel. That's back to around pre-war pricing. Gas prices also steadily coming down. The national average for a gallon of unleaded now standing at $3.85, according to AAA. That's nearly 50 cents cheaper than a month ago. But prices are still high, trending almost 30% higher than at the start of the war, when cost was about $2.98 to fill up. New details tonight in the world of AI. The U.S. is lifting its export ban on Anthropic's most powerful AI models. Those include Claude, Fable 5, and Mythos 5. The Anthropic says access is being restored after the ban forced them to suspend use of the models by foreign nationals, and that included some of Anthropic's own employees. CNN tech reporter Clara Duffy spoke with Kate Baldwin this morning about the reversal.
Yeah, so this is a big move for Anthropic. Obviously, it said that today it is going to start restoring access to Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5, its most advanced AI models. Yesterday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick posted about this, saying, quote, over the past 2 weeks, we have worked closely with Anthropic to analyze and improve Fable 5 to ensure alignment across the U.S. government and strengthen America's leadership in AI. That is technical speak, essentially to say that they have addressed some of the cybersecurity risks and concerns that they had around these models, which is, of course, where this all started. Mythos 5 is Anthropic's most advanced AI model that even the company said could come with cybersecurity risks as well as benefits because it is so good at finding vulnerabilities in software. So that is why the U.S. government last month ordered this export ban on this technology, saying that Anthropic had to restrict access to all foreign nationals. The company at that point just restricted access to the models altogether. Then just a few weeks ago, June 26th, the U.S. government said Anthropic could start to allow a limited access to this model for U.S. government agencies, again, supposedly to address these cybersecurity risks.
Is it clear what changed?
Well, so CNN has learned that there was a customer of Anthropic's who found a potential jailbreak in Fable 5, a potential vulnerability. So in theory, the government and Anthropic have worked together to address that jailbreak. But I do think this underscores the regulatory uncertainty around this technology and just how much the U.S. government is sort of scrambling to catch up to the powers of this technology. Anthropic had said that it didn't believe that a single small jailbreak should be reason for all of this. But of course, it has to comply with the government's, rules around this.
Our thanks to Claire for that breakdown. And the White House also requested OpenAI limit the release of one of its upcoming models because of its advanced capabilities. OpenAI agreed, but says this process should not become the norm. Still ahead on CNN Headline Express, we're updating today's top stories, including a daring stunt atop the Empire State Building that had everyone talking today. The new photos from those climbers, including their apparent proposal and the ring. Red, white, and something blue. It's rumored to be a big holiday weekend for Taylor Swift. We'll talk through some of the Easter eggs that hint at a weekend wedding for Swift and beau Travis Kelce. And Medicare now covering weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. Ahead, who is eligible and who is not. I'm Renee Marsh, and it's 1:30. Let's hit the refresh button on our top stories. 2 people are in custody after scaling to the top of the Empire State Building today. The pair has been identified as Angela Nicolo and Ivan Kuznetsov. Investigators are still trying to find out how they accessed the antenna, which stands nearly 1,500 feet above the city streets. The couple posted pictures from the stunt on Instagram, including a shot of an engagement ring. CNN's Samantha Lindell has more on the climbers.
This video posted to Instagram appears to show 2 people who scaled the Empire State Building spire and held up a banner that read, quote, "When the power of love meets the love of power, the world knows peace." According to another Instagram post, the couple are experienced climbers and were subjects of a 2024 Netflix documentary. Video captured the moment the individuals got engaged, when one person got down on their knee and proposed. A photo of the ring was later posted to the Instagram account. It's unclear how the pair managed to reach the top of the nearly 1,500-foot landmark. They were taken into custody without incident, according to police. Charges are pending and the investigation is ongoing, officials said.
Tonight, nearly half of all Americans are facing dangerously hot temperatures, and the worst is yet to come. The heat dome could shatter records with the peak of the heat leading directly into the July 4th weekend. The nation's capital is forecast to have its hottest 4th of July on record. More than 50 million people are expected to see triple-digit heat this week. New tonight, a warning for parents as temperatures climb. With dangerous heat building across the country, it's important to keep children protected while they're playing outside. Madison Sims from Chattanooga affiliate WRCB has the details.
To touch the steering wheel of the car, so the equipment is warm.
Summertime in the Tennessee Valley means severely hot surfaces, and the playground is no exception.
The temperature of the metal equipment, the plastic equipment, even the asphalt can be greater than 150 degrees easily.
And those temperatures don't take long to heat up.
And even as early as 11 o'clock, plastic play equipment like this can reach temperatures of up to 112 degrees.
If a child touches hot equipment, it could result in serious burns.
If it's just red like a sunburn, that would be a first-degree type burn. Topical burn cream, Tylenol, ibuprofen, that sort of thing. If it starts blistering or even opening up, it should probably be looked at by a provider.
But those burns can be prevented with one simple touch.
Put the back of your hand on the item that you're concerned about. If you can hold it there, if you can't hold it there for 5 seconds, then it's too hot.
So before you head to the park this summer, be sure to check the temperature.
If it's too hot for you, it's too hot for your child.
And for all of your weather needs from any location, you can download the CNN weather app at cnn.com/CNN weather for up-to-date tracking of your forecast. Well, President Trump has a new ride. The new Air Force One made its inaugural flight today, taking the president to North Dakota. Qatar gifted the plane to the U.S., a move that was met with some American criticism and concern. There was a bipartisan sentiment that the gift was inappropriate and it raised serious ethical and security concerns. But the Air Force says the plane will relieve pressure on the existing fleet over the next 2 years. Then a new U.S.-built aircraft will be ready to take over.
We're very proud of this. The country is very proud of it. And you can do two things. You can low-key it, or you can show it. This is the first flight. We're going to the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library opening, and that'll be very good. That'll be a lot of fun. But I think, to be honest with you, I'm excited about the first flight. It's something nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Mr. President, what's your favorite upgrade to the new plane, and how much did it cost American taxpayers to upgrade the plane?
Well, of course, very little relative to what it would cost if we did it a different way. So this was a gift from a country that's treated us very well, and they're an ally of us over in the Middle East, Qatar. And I went to Boeing, I said, who has the best one? They said, Qatar. There's never been a plane like it. Frankly, we couldn't build a plane like this because we wouldn't be willing to spend the kind of money necessary.
Well, the plane is estimated to cost $400 million, but the U.S. has likely spent even more to ready the plane for use. Aviation experts say the project to overhaul the plane, including security upgrades, could have a price tag of more than $1 billion. The stage is set for a big weekend in New York City, from multiple massive July 4th celebrations to the round of 16 World Cup match between Brazil and Norway. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani says the local and federal agencies are ready.
This is a busy, celebratory time in our city. This 4th of July weekend, we are planning for multiple major events. We have a comprehensive security plan in place for each of these events to ensure that everyone can enjoy the festivities safely. First, we are increasing deployment of uniformed officers across the 5 boroughs. We've also been working for months across all levels of city government, as well as with state and federal partners, to keep our city safe. And because this week's activities take place not only on land and in air, but also on sea, we are coordinating with the Coast Guard and the Navy. We continue to operate in a heightened threat environment. At this time, there are no specific and credible threats, and we are taking every possible precaution to safeguard our city.
Well, one of those events could potentially be the wedding of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Though the couple hasn't confirmed it themselves, sources tell CNN the pop superstar and Kansas City Chiefs tight end are preparing to tie the knot at Madison Square Garden, with festivities beginning as soon as tomorrow. Here's CNN's Bryn Gingras from New York.
We're getting all these little Easter eggs all around us, trying to put together what exactly is going on. Of course, a source has confirmed that there is a celebration that is about to take place between Travis and Taylor beginning tomorrow. A rehearsal is what it is being called, expected to have 100 guests. And the New York Times actually reporting it's inside the theater of Madison Square Garden. And that will be followed by, on Friday, the big celebration inside the arena. There are reports it's going to be somewhat of a giant garden party with 1,000 guests beginning at 4 p.m. going to 4 a.m. on July 4. So quite the celebration. We are getting just little clues as we sit out here outside of Madison Square Garden. We have been seeing all morning all these flatbed trucks, tractor trailers arriving to the entrance of Madison Square Garden and hauling in tons of equipment. It looks like, maybe tree branches, props. Again, I'm just speculating here that this all has to do with the wedding, but it is certainly fun to kind of get maybe some tidbits of what possibly is happening inside. And if you had any question, because you have friends and everybody's been asking me this question, why would the person who can get married anywhere in this entire world get married at Madison Square Garden? Well, we are seeing why, because it is so secure. They have even put down a black tarp to the entrance of the loading dock so we don't get a look at really anything that's going on. And security, of course, it is at the top, is top notch. They're going to be putting up tents so that the A-list friends don't get any, get any coverage where paparazzi can take a picture of them. There are no windows to Madison Square Garden. So there's a lot of reasons why this is going to be a top secret wedding. We're hearing it's a black tie affair. We're hearing no phones, no cameras are going to be allowed. But yeah, quite the celebration in the middle of Manhattan, only on the most hot days that we've had all summer yet, only on the World Cup celebrations, only on America's 250th birthday. They picked quite a time, but you know what? No one seems to mind. People are getting pretty excited and coming down here just to kind of get a look at what might be happening.
A lot happening. Well, Ford is recalling 740,000 SUVs and trucks over a transmission issue. The defect could cause some vehicles to shift into park while they're still moving. Some Expedition, Navigator, Explorer, Aviator, and F-150 models from 2018 to 2021 model years are impacted. Dealers have a software fix for the problem and will also inspect vehicles for any damage. Ford set an industry record last year for most recalls issued. New tonight, the effort to reduce food waste. Those labels on food packages that say best if used by usually mean expired to some people, but to others, it may be fine for a few more days. Now California is trying to clear up the confusion and cut down on food waste. A new law bans sell-by labels, which experts say were meant for retailers, not shoppers, deciding whether food is safe to eat. Instead, food sold in California